What would you say to someone if you knew it was really goodbye? The thing about life is that it never is the same thing in the next moment, or the next day, or the next year. Life has a constant ambiguity and craziness that makes it funny, beautiful, and at times unfortunate and tragic. And from this one brutal reality, we surmise one thing: things end. Be it relationships, a job, a summer holiday, even someone's life. Or yours. We won't always have the things we have now. Fleeting moments of bliss might come in a minute or two. A high school love isn't the same in college. The job you've worked hard for lays you off for some reason. An epic road trip across Montana ends. And in certain times, someone you know might die. Most of us struggle to comprehend this reality. The inevitability of great endings and our tendency to fear them creates our denial and inner conflict with raw emotions that come with it, rendering us petrified standing at the edge. We suddenly have lumps in our throats and knots in our hearts, unable to express and process our emotions in the face of the end of a relationship or death. How do we say goodbye? Most often, we don't get to choose how things end. They change, they fade away, they move, they die, and many other ways in millions of possible circumstances that all make up the uncertainty of life. There is no right or wrong way to feel about endings and goodbyes. However, we do have the power and the ability to deal with our emotions and express what we need to express as we stand at an end. One thing that puts things into perspective is the value of it all. The relationship that went awry was once beautiful and loving. The life that is ending was a life filled with stories of loss and love. Everything that comes to an end has its value. Their existence and everything in between has taught people, touched lives, changed lives, and lived. Whether it's a person's life, a relationship, a job, an academic pursuit, its existence has value to anyone and anything. Think about the death of a saint, unwavering in their faith and filled with virtues. Their value is in the service they gave to God and the example they've set for the rest of the world. They gave their lives for us to learn from them. Have we ever mourned the death of saints? No. We thank them because of their value. In turn, taught us value. Another thing to consider is acceptance. It may not always be easy, but it's the sole road that leads us further. So instead of pulling away from the emotional discomfort, face it. Accept the fact that everything ends one way or another. Take solace in the fact that its ending means that it has fulfilled its purpose. Know that it has its value despite how it ends. No one told us that it's easy. And goodbyes are no different. Take Mary, for example, the mother of Jesus, who in all her years took care and loved him, only for him to be taken away, tortured, and then crucified to fulfill his mission, his life, his very value. And yet Mary did not plead with God to save Jesus. She accepted his fate. She watched him suffer and die so that we can all be saved. As his mother, only she knows the pain of watching her child die. Yet she accepted all of this. It took her further and made her queen of heaven and earth. A perfect example of acceptance, of God's will, of life. Saying goodbye never has the perfect script. Saying goodbye isn't all about saying your piece for the sake of your peace. Saying goodbye should be all about the value of a person's life, or a relationship, a job. Saying goodbye should be about accepting that things will come to this point. that this is the part of the inevitability of life. You could feel regret, frustration, fear, and sadness about a particular end, and that's okay. You could have every word you needed to say, and that's understandable. Loss is never a one-way street. A perfect example is one man's battle against a terminal disease. He was never faced with the idea of an impending death. One day, he called his most loved neighbors and told them that he was dying and only had a short time to live. He was not anxious, worried, or scared and regretful. He called merely to say that he wasn't sure how long he'll stay and didn't want to miss the opportunity to tell them how much they meant to him and his wife, and wanted to thank them for being such great neighbors. He dealt with his coming death like a destination that we will all face, sooner or later, and chose to take the time to bid goodbye. This is one instance of being faced with an emotional crossroad, of the pain and fears of severing, of goodbyes. How do you respond? How do you express your most inner feelings towards someone you will never see again? Say what you need to say. Let this end be a closing door for all that will leave. And let this be an open door for you, ready for a more fulfilling life. Because after all, endings come new beginnings. Mama Mary certainly knows that. The saints know that. Life never promised certainty. Life isn't to drive down a simple straightaway. Life isn't to walk in the park. And it includes the end of things. All of these is God's grand design. Find comfort in God's wisdom, in the universe's divine mysteries. So live and let God. And until then, bring your best.